Imagine this. The power is out. I mean, not for an hour, but for days. Your expensive security cameras, they're dead. Your smartphone is a useless brick, and the familiar rules of society are, well, they're starting to fray at the edges. So, how do you protect yourself when all that technology fails? In this explainer, we're going to break down how to turn your home into a fortress using nothing but clever, zero-cost design.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? When the systems we all rely on start to fail, security suddenly becomes a very personal, very physical problem. The real challenge isn't about buying more gadgets. It's about completely rethinking the space you live in. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the core philosophy, and then we'll move through a three-phase system for home defense. We'll talk about deterring from the outside, controlling the inside, and setting up some really clever zero-tech alerts. And then finally, we'll tie it all together with a powerful mindset shift. All right, let's dive right into our foundational idea. This entire explainer is built on one core principle. True security isn't something you buy and tack on, it's something you actually design into your environment. Think about it, right? Motion sensors, smart locks, they're great, but they depend on a really fragile power grid and an internet connection. A well-engineered system, on the other hand, relies on psychology, geometry, and physics, and those are forces that never, ever fail. And here's the best part. Every single strategy we're about to cover is completely free. It's all about using your brain, not your credit card. And that makes these tactics accessible to absolutely everyone, right now, today. Okay, let's get into phase one. The goal here is simple. We want to win the battle before it even begins. We want to make a potential intruder look at your house and immediately decide, nope, not worth the risk. And we're going to do it all just by using a little bit of psychology.
This brings us to a really cool concept, the exposure doctrine. See, humans are hardwired to avoid being seen when they're doing something they shouldn't be. It's a deep primal fear, and guess what? We are going to weaponize that instinct.
So how do we actually do it? Well, you walk outside and you look at your house like a burglar would. You see those pretty shrubs right under the windows? To them, those are ambush points. So you cut back everything within about 15 feet of your house. Create a clear, open space that offers zero cover. An intruder who's forced across that open ground feels completely exposed, and suddenly their own paranoia starts working for you.
Next, we add sound. By spreading a layer of gravel, or dry leaves, or even wood chips under every ground floor window, you create what's called an acoustic trigger. It is physically impossible to walk on that stuff silently. You've just created a high-tech, early warning system that runs on the laws of physics. And, gravity never has a power outage.
Now, the final piece of this psychological warfare is pattern disruption. See, burglars often watch a target to learn its schedule. So you eliminate the schedule. Park your car in a different spot every day. Move your patio chairs around. Make your home look lived in, unpredictable. Because an unpredictable target is a risky target. All right, let's move inside for phase two. If an intruder somehow gets past that invisible wall we just built, the next goal is to make the inside of your home a confusing, disorienting, and tactically awful environment for them to navigate.
The key concept here is something called the fatal funnel. This is a military term for any kind of bottleneck. Doorways, hallways. In these spaces, an attacker is vulnerable, they're exposed, and they can't move freely. Your home is absolutely full of them, and we're going to use them to our advantage.
And here's exactly how you do it. You take a heavy piece of furniture, like a bookcase, and instead of putting it flat against a wall, you use it to create an L-shaped barrier right inside an entryway. This forces an intruder to slow down, turn a blind corner, and squeeze through a narrow gap, all while their eyes are still adjusting to the light inside. You've just used your furniture to create a military-grade obstacle.
And this, right here, brilliantly illustrates the result. For the intruder, it's nothing but confusion and hesitation. They're overloaded with new information. But for you, from a safe position, you have a clear line of sight. You've just created this massive information imbalance that gives you a huge tactical advantage. Oh, and if you have stairs, you have a natural fortress. Think about it. Someone moving upstairs is slow, they're exposed, and they're totally off balance. They are forced into a completely vulnerable position. The person at the top has every single advantage: height, cover, and gravity on their side. Never, ever underestimate the power of the high ground. Okay, on to our final layer of defense, phase 3.
This is all about creating simple, mechanical alarms and, I love this part, rethinking the purpose of everyday objects you already have lying around your house. This is the gravity alarm, and it is genius in its simplicity. You go to a door you don't use very often, maybe a basement or a side door, and you stack a pile of empty cans or pots and pans right behind it. If that door gets opened, even slightly, the whole thing comes crashing down, creating an unmistakable, loud alarm that requires zero electricity.
Next, let's look at the simple wedge. A piece of wood jammed into the track of a sliding glass door or a window makes it incredibly difficult to pry open. All the force they use to push the door just gets redirected down into the floor. You're literally using ancient, Bronze Age physics to defeat modern vulnerabilities. And this forces a really critical shift in mindset. You have to reevaluate everything around you. That can of wasp spray in the garage, it's a 20-foot deterrent. A heavy Maglite flashlight is both a bludgeon and a tool to blind an intruder. A fire extinguisher can fill a room with a chemical cloud. Your home is already full of defensive tools. You just have to start seeing them for what they can be.
So, let's tie all of this together. We've covered a whole lot of tactics, but really, they all serve a single overarching philosophy.
This right here, this is the ultimate takeaway. You don't have to make your home invincible. You just have to make it a less attractive target than the alternatives. It's about being harder to get into, slower to move through, louder to break into, and just plain riskier to attempt. It's all a game of relative security.
And look, let's be clear. This isn't about living in fear or being paranoid. It's about preparedness. It's about looking at your home not just as a place of comfort, but as a space that has its own geography, its own architecture of defense. It's just about thinking smarter. So, I'm going to leave you with this question. Tonight, before you go to bed, just take 5 minutes. Walk through your own home, but see it through the eyes of an intruder. Where are the weak spots? Where are the fatal funnels you could create right now? What's the first thing you can fix tonight, for free? Your fortress is already there. You just have to see it.